Good morning. Don't want that up there. Just a minute, guys. Thank you, Lou. Trying to put this in here. Never done that here. Oh well. Anyways, I was gonna put the thing in the comments so you guys could come up on panel, but I can't figure out how to do it. So, anyways, on with it. Hello, Lily, my twin sister, who just turned 10. I'm so proud of you and how far you've come in your sobriety. It's awesome. It's awesome. So, anyways, wait a couple minutes, see if anybody else comes in. You're welcome. I'm tired this morning. I already did my 1.10 mile today. It's the first mile of the day. So after this live stream, I'll go do another one. I don't know if I'm going to do 3 today or not. It's 3.5 miles in one day. I'm trying to get my body ready to do the hike to Multnomah Falls, and then I want to do a 5K. So we'll see what happens. I'm training myself. But anyways, this is a meeting, so let's go ahead and get into it. Please be mindful of people in the chats. Just because they're there does not mean that they are the alcoholic. They could be here to support my channel or learn new ways to help a friend or family member to become sober. And yeah. So just don't do any judgment of each other in the chat, and be respectful of one another, and that's all I ask. So, with that, I'm Sandra, and I'm an alcoholic. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So I always put in the description what we're reading, the page, the step or what story. So yeah. Anyways, step 1. We admitted that we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made the decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. 7. Humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. 8. made a list of all persons we had harmed but become willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends wherever possible except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continue to take personal inventory and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So, I hope you guys are having a good day so far. I am, because I'm sober, and anyways, let's get to reading. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. The joy of living is a theme of AA's 12th step, and action is its key word. Here we turn outward toward our fellow alcoholics who are still in distress. Here we experience the kind of giving that asks no reward. Here we begin to practice all 12 steps of the program in our daily life so that we and those about us may find emotional sobriety. When the 12th step is seen in its full implication, it is really talking about the kind of love that has no price tag on it. Our 12th step also says that as a result of practicing all the steps, we have each found something called a spiritual awakening. The new AAs, this often seems like a very dubious and improbable state of affairs. What do you mean when you talk about a spiritual awakening, they ask. Maybe there are as many definitions of spiritual awakening as there are as people who have had them. But certainly each genuine one has something in common with all the others. All these things which they have in common are not too hard to understand. When a man or a woman has a spiritual awakening, the most important meaning of it is that he has now become able to do, feel, and believe that which he could not do before on his unaided strength and resources alone. He has been granted a gift which amounts to a new state of consciousness and being. He has been set on a path which tells him he is really going somewhere, that life is not a dead end, not something to be endured or mastered. In a very real sense, he has been transformed because he has laid hold of a source of strength which in one way or another he had hitherto denied himself. He finds himself in possession of a degree of honesty, tolerance, unselfishness, peace of mind, and love of which he had thought himself quite incapable of. What he has received is a free gift, and yet usually, in least in some small part, he has made himself ready to receive it. AA's manner of making ready to receive this gift lies in the practice of the 12 steps in our program. So let's consider briefly what we have been trying to do up this up to this point. Step 1 showed us an amazing paradox. We found that we were totally unable to rid of the alcohol obsession until we first admitted that we were powerless over it. In step 2, we saw that since we could not restore ourselves to sanity, some higher power must necessarily do so if we were to survive. Consequently, in step 3, we turned our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. For the time being, we who were atheists and agnostics discovered that our own group of AA as a whole would surface as a higher power. Be- Beginning with step 4, we commenced to search out the things in ourselves which had brought us to physical, moral, and spiritual bankruptcy. We made a searching and fearless moral inventory. Looking at step 5, we had decided that an inventory taken alone wouldn't be enough. We knew we would have to quit the deadly business of living alone with our conflicts and in honesty confide these to God and another human being. At step 6, many of us balked for the practical reason that we did not wish to have all our defective characters removed because we still loved some of them too much. Yet we knew we had to make a settlement with the fundamental principle of step 6. So we decided that while we still had some flaws of character that we could not yet relinquish, we ought nevertheless to quit our stubborn, rebellious hanging on to them. We said to ourselves, this I cannot do today, perhaps, but I can stop crying out. No, never. Then in step 7, we humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings, such as He could or would under the condition of the day we ask. In step 8, we continue our house cleaning, where we saw that we were not only in conflict with ourselves, but also with people and situations in the world in which we lived. We had to begin to make our peace, and so we listed the people we had harmed and become willing to make amends, blah blah, willing to set things right. We followed this up in step 9 by making direct amends to those concerned, except when it would injure them or other people. By this time, at step 10, we had begun to get a basics for daily living, and we keenly realized that we would need to continue living, and we keenly realized that we would need to continue taking personal inventory. Sorry about that. Hi, Riza. And that when we were in the wrong, we ought to admit it promptly. In step 11, we saw that if a higher power had restored us to sanity and had enabled us to live with some peace of mind in a sorely troubled world, then such a higher power was worth knowing better by direct contact as possible. The persistent use of meditation and prayer, we found, did open the channel so that where they had been a trickle, there now was a river, which led to sure power and safe guidance from God as we were increasingly better able to understand Him. So, practicing these steps, we had a spiritual awakening about which finally there was no question. Looking at those who were only beginning to still doubted themselves, the rest of us were able to see the change setting in. From great numbers of such experiences, we could predict that the doubter who still claimed that he hadn't got the spiritual angle, and who still considered his well-loved AA group the higher power, would presently love God and call Him by name. Now, what about the rest of the 12th step? The wonderful energy is released. It releases in the eager action by which it carries our message to the next suffering alcoholic, and which finally translates the 12 steps into action upon all our affairs, is the payoff. The magnificent reality of Alcoholics Anonymous. Even the newest of newcomers find undreamed rewards as he tries to help his brother alcoholic, the one who is even blinder than he. This is indeed the kind of giving that actually demands nothing. He does not expect his brother suffer to pay him, or even to love him. And then he discovers that by the divine paradox of this kind of giving, he has found his own reward, whether his brother has yet received anything or not. His own character may still be gravely defective, but he somehow knows that God has enabled him to make a mighty beginning, and he senses that. He stands at the edge of new mysteries, joys, and experiences of which he had never even dreamed. Holy moly, this one's really long, guys. Practically every AA member declares that no satisfaction had been deeper than, no joy greater than in a 12th. This one's quite a few pages. In a 12-step job well done. To watch the eye of men and women open with wonder as they move from darkness into light, to see their lives quickly fill with new purpose and meaning, to see whole families resemble, to see the alcoholics outcasts received back into the community in full citizenship, and above all, to watch these people awaken to the presence of a loving God in their lives. These things are the substance of what we receive as we carry AA's message to the next alcoholic. Nor is this the only kind of 12-step work. We sit in AA meetings and listen, not only to receive something ourselves, but to give the reassurance and support which our presence can bring. In our turn, or if our turn comes to speak at a meeting, we again try to carry AA's message. Whether our audience is one of many, it is still 12-step work. There are many opportunities, even for those of us who feel unable to speak at meetings or who are so situated that we cannot do much face to fact or face to face 12-step work. We can be the ones who take on the unparticular but important task that makes good 12-step work possible, perhaps arranging for a coffee and cake after the meeting. Where so many skeptical, suspicious newcomers have found confidence and comfort in this laughter and talk. This is 12-step work in very best sense of the word. Freely ye have received, freely give is the core of this part of step 12. We may often pass through 12-step experiences where we will seem to be temporarily off the beam. These will appear to be big setbacks at the time, but will be seen later as stepping stones to better things. For example, we may set our hearts on getting a particular person sobered up, and after doing all we can for months, we see him relapse. Perhaps this will happen in a succession of cases, and we may deeply discourage as or we may be deeply discouraged as to our ability to carry AA's message, or may encounter the reverse situation in which we are highly elated because we seem to have been successful. Here, the temptation is to become rather possessive of these newcomers. Perhaps we try to give them advice about their affairs, which we aren't really competent to give or ought not give all at all. Then we are hurt and confused when the advice is rejected, or when it is accepted and brings still greater confusion. By a great deal of ardent 12-step work, we sometimes carry the message to so many alcoholics that they place us in a position of trust. They make us, let us say, the group's chairman. Here again, we are presented with the temptation to overmanage things, and sometimes this results in rebuffs and other consequences which are hard to take. But in the longer run, we clearly realize that these are only the pains of growing up, and nothing but good can come from them. If you turn more and more to the entire 12th step for the answer. Now comes the biggest question yet. What about the practice of these principles in all our affairs? Can we love the whole pattern of living as eagerly as we do the small segment of it we discover when we try to help other alcoholics achieve sobriety? Can we bring the same spirit of love and tolerance into our sometimes deranged family lives that we bring to our AA groups? Can we have the same kind of confidence and faith in these people who have been infected and sometimes crippled by our own illness that we have in our sponsor? Can we actually carry the AA spirit into our daily work? Can we meet our newly recognized responsibilities to the world at large? And can we bring new purpose and devotion to the religion of our choice? Can we find a new joy of living in trying to do something about all these things? Furthermore, how shall we come to terms with seeming failure or success? Can we now accept and adjust to either without despair or pride? Can we accept poverty, sickness, loneliness, and bereavements with courage and serenity? Can we steadfastly continue ourselves or content ourselves with just a second? Courage and serenity? Can we steadfastly content ourselves with the humbler, yet sometimes more durable satisfaction when the brighter, more glittery achievements are denied us? The AA answer to these questions about living is yes, all of these things are possible. We know this because we see monotony, pain, and even calamity turn to good use by those who keep on trying to practice AA's 12 steps. And if these are facts of life for the many alcoholics who have recovered in AA, they can become the fact of life for many more. Of course, all AAs, even the best, fall far short of such achievements as a constant thing without necessarily taking that first drink. We often get quite far out of be out the get far off the beam. Our troubles sometimes begin with indifference. We are sober and happy in our AA work. Things go well at home and office. We naturally congratulate ourselves on what later proves to be a far too easy and superficial point of view. We temporarily cease to grow because we feel satisfied that there is no need for us of AA's 12 steps for us. We are doing fine on a few of them. Maybe we are, sorry, the first step and the part of the 12 where we carry the message in AA slang that blissful state is known as two-stepping, and it can go on for years. The best intentioned of us can fall for the two-step illusion. Sooner or later, pink cloud stage wears off, and things go disappointingly dull. We begin to think that AA doesn't pay off after all. We become puzzled and discouraged. then perhaps life, as it has a way of doing, suddenly hands us a great big lump that we can't begin to swallow, let alone digest. We fail to get a work for promotion. We lose that good job. Maybe there are serious domestic or romantic difficulties, or perhaps that boy we thought God was looking after becomes a military casualty. What then? Have we alcoholics in AA got or can we get then resources to meet these calamities which come to so many? These were problems of life which we could never face up to. Can we now, with the help of God as we understand Him, handle them as well as bravely as our non-alcoholic friends often do? Can we transform these calamities into assets, sources of growth and comfort to ourselves and these about us? Well, as bravely as our non-alcoholic friends often do, can we transform these calamities into assets, sources, source of growth and comfort to ourselves and those about us? Will we surely have a chance if we switch from two-stepping to 12-stepping? If we are willing to receive the grace of God, which can sustain and strengthen us in our catastrophe, our basic troubles are the same as everyone else's, but when as an honest effort is made, we practice these principles in all our affairs. Well-grounded AAs seem to have the ability, by God's grace, to take these troubles in stride and turn them into demonstrations of faith. We have seen AA suffer lingering and fatal illness with little complaint and often in good cheer. We have sometimes seen families broken apart by misunderstanding, tensions, or actual infidelity, who are reunited by the AA's way of life. Though the earning power of most AAs is relatively high, we have some members who never seem to get on their feet money-wise, and still others who encounter heavy financial reverses. Ordinarily, we see these situations met with fortitude and faith. Like most people, we have found that we can take our big lumps as they come, but also, like others, we often discover a greater challenge in the lesser and more continuous problems of life. Our answer is in still more spiritual development. Only by this means can we improve our chances of really happy and useful living. And as we grow spirituality, we find that our old attitudes towards our instincts need to undergo drastic revision. Our desires for emotional security and wealth, for personal prestige and power, for romance and redirect. We have learned that the satisfaction of instincts cannot be sole end and aim of our lives. If we place instinct first, we have got the cart before the horse. We shall be pulled backwards into delusionment. But when we are willing to place spiritual growth first, then and only then do we have a real chance. I think I'm gonna stop there. Like I said, this one's really, really long. And uh let me take my glasses off for a minute. My eye is still twitching, being dumb. Alright, thank you, Lily. So here we begin to practice all 12 steps of the program in our daily lives so that we and those about us may find emotional sobriety. When the 12 steps is seen in its full implication, it is really talking about the kind of love that has no price tag on it. So, sobriety doesn't have a price tag. It's what I get out of it, anyways. I might be wrong, but that's my opinion. I shouldn't have read that without my glasses on, but I did. Um, yeah, there shouldn't be a price tag on anything because when you're doing your 12-step work, when you're trying to help somebody become sober and then they, like, I've helped a lot of people start getting sober and then they've gone back out. The only thing that I can say about the 12-step work is it can be very challenging to understand that, like for me, I was upset when they went back out. Very upset that they went back out. That I thought I wasn't good enough. That I wasn't a good enough sponsor or friend to that person. And it made me feel bad because I couldn't help them the way that they needed help. Now, one of my friends has gone out twice, or maybe more than that, I don't know. But I still talk to that person maybe once a week, see how they're doing in their sobriety on the trip of sobriety, see if they're working their steps, if they need any help with anything, um, with the AA side of it, and even just being a friend and understanding what they're going through and giving them a reason to smile, maybe. And I really like what one of my friends says all the time, and her name is her channel name is Van Life with Cheryl. Um, she is always saying, if you see somebody without a smile, give them yours. And that is what I try to do every day. Yesterday was really cool. So we have this guy that so wooden roses that he makes. I don't know how he makes them. I've just seen them a few times, close to home. And yesterday I was on my third walk and he was hobbling. I don't know if he is a veteran or not. It doesn't really matter. But I felt that I could use some help. And I took his sign and I picked his sign up. And it's a big sign. But I picked his sign up, I folded it, and I took it over to his car for him. Doing those sort of things, it makes me feel better because it made somebody else's day better. Smiling at somebody and saying good morning or good afternoon or good evening, that might just be what they need to hear that day at that time. You, you never know what somebody's going through. You never know if they've lost someone or if something's going on in their lives that they aren't ready to share with anyone. Just be compassionate to somebody and tell them that it's going to be okay. Don't give up. And that's what I do with my AA work is people go out. They fall off the wagon and they go back out. Hey, I'm one of them. Before I got to AA. But I still did that. I went back out and I had been sober for a year. And I decided, like most AA have said, including myself, being sober for 10 years now, 10 years and 8 months. Um, Now I forgot what I was saying. Helping somebody is a, a good way to make somebody's day better. Um, Being kind to somebody is helping somebody's day be better. And like, I don't expect somebody to know how I'm feeling or what my thoughts are. Um, I do still have my days where, I'm thinking, well, I could go and take that drink. But I think back to those times before I found AA and I decided I was going to go ahead and try to have one drink. Buddy, let me tell you, just because you came from being that alcoholic doesn't mean that you ain't gonna go just right down to the bottom real quick, because let me tell you, that's exactly what I did. I got that one drink in me and that's all it took, and out I went. And I was back out there for another year and a half. And without AA, I don't know where I would be right now. And I have to thank my sponsor and my sponsees for always helping me and encouraging me to keep going and don't give up and don't give in to that want for a drink or for a cigarette. And I've been without a cigarette since March of 2024, and I still have those pink cloud days for a cigarette, and the pink cloud that it mentions in step 12 is real. It is real because I went through that. I mean, I stopped listening to music that had alcohol said in it. I stopped reading things that had alcohol in it. I stopped having any alcohol around me. Hi, Tony. I just stopped it all. I didn't want anything to do with it. And then as it got to where I was able to slowly, and I couldn't go down the grocery store aisle that had the alcohol in it, and that was the beer and the wine, and in Washington the liquor, and and some of the stores in Southern Oregon, that's where they have their liquor, and so I I know it's real when you decide that you're gonna go ahead and jump off that sobriety train. You're not gonna start over. You're gonna start right back down at the bottom, and it's a slap in the face. Let me tell you, it's a big old slap in the face. You idiot! Why'd you do that? Exactly what I thought. And perhaps, when I discovered that the people that I have helped had gone back out, that's something that I always say to them is, I did that. I could have told you that's what was going to happen. And I caught one of them in the act of drinking. And I yelled, I said, "You get over here right now. I need to talk to you." And my friend came over and I was talking to him, and that person was crying. And I was like, "Those are fake tears right now. You're just tearing up because you got caught." And, but we have those chances that we could end up going back out. And that's why we always say, one day at a time, that's all we can do. And I always try to remind myself that I don't plan anything way in advance anymore, because 9 times out of 10, it ain't gonna happen. And I don't like when my plans get destroyed, and I take very offense to that, and it makes me really upset. It's part of my depression and my anxiety and my panic attacks. But it's reality, and so I need to always remind myself when planning things, don't get your hopes way far out there, because things can happen. And I just try to take it day by day. And when I'm having those stressful days, like my sponsor always says, breathe. Just breathe and pray for that person. Because we AAs don't pray for ourselves, because that's being selfish and greedy for yourself. That's my opinion, anyways. But I just know that AA works, and I'm glad that I found it, and I'm glad that my friend got me to go to my first meeting. If it would not have been for that first meeting, I wouldn't be sitting here doing service work on the internet with a bunch of people that I don't know that I am helping. And that's why service work is important. And I tell everyone that I am a recovering alcoholic. I'm not ashamed to say that. I used to be, but I'm not now. Because it's the truth, and it will be the truth for the rest of my life. And so with that, I'm going to read the daily reflection and then let you guys have the rest of your day. July 22nd, the good and the bad. How does this always happen? My Creator, I am now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. Alcoholics Anonymous, page 76. The joy of life is the giving, being freed of my shortcomings, that I may more freely be of service, allows humility to grow in me. My shortcomings can be humbly placed in God's loving care and be removed. The essence of step 11 in humility, and what better way to seek humility than by giving all of myself, good and bad, to God, so that He may remove the bad and return me to good. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. I love you guys. Thank you for being here and having an hour of your time with me. I really appreciate it. And if this helps you, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. This is not the only part of my channel that I do. I do adventures as well, and those are mainly just videos. So feel free to go and watch some of those too. Thank you. Love you guys.